The lights in the auditorium dimmed as Instructor Velmoth stepped onto the stage. His scales gleamed under the spotlight, and his 3 eyes scanned the rows of cadets sitting before him. 300 young beings from across the galaxy, all hoping to become officers in the galactic military. Velmoth had given this speech dozens of times, but he never grew tired of watching the cadets' faces change when they saw what came next. He pressed a button on his control pad. A massive hologram appeared above the stage, showing a blue and green planet slowly rotating. Red warning symbols flashed around it like angry stars. "This," Velmoth's voice echoed through the hall, "is Earth, a Class 12 death world, the most dangerous planet in our alliance where sentient life exists." Whispers rippled through the crowd. In the back row, Hannah sat perfectly still. She was small compared to most cadets, with dark eyes and black hair tied back in a simple knot. She wore the same gray uniform as everyone else, but on her slight frame, it seemed too large. Nobody sitting near her paid any attention. They were all watching the hologram. Velmoth continued, "Every cadet in this academy must complete survival training on different worlds. Desert worlds, ice worlds, ocean worlds. You will learn to adapt. You will learn to survive." He paused, his middle eye focusing on the hologram. "But Earth is different. Earth is where we test whether you truly have what it takes." The hologram zoomed in, showing forests, mountains, and oceans. Each image was marked with danger warnings. Velmoth pointed to the gravity reading. 1 full gravity. Most of you evolved on worlds with half that. Walking on Earth will feel like carrying another person on your back. He pointed to the atmosphere reading. 21% oxygen. That's poison to 12 species in this room. You'll need breathing equipment just to stand on the surface. Another cadet, a tall being made of crystalline structures, raised a limb. "Sir, if it's so dangerous, why do we train there?" Velmoth smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Because, Cadet, if you can survive Earth, you can survive anything the universe throws at you." He pulled up new images. Earth is creatures called bears that weigh 300 kilograms and can run faster than most of you. It has tiny organisms called bacteria that can kill you in days. It has weather patterns that can freeze you solid or burn you alive. And those are just the natural dangers. The cadets looked at each other nervously. Hannah remained still, her expression unchanged. "In 70 years, Velmoth said, his voice growing harder, 43 cadets have attempted the Earth survival course. 43 have failed. Most were evacuated within days. 12 needed hospital care for months after. 3 nearly died." He let that sink in. No cadet has ever completed the full 2-week course on Earth. Not one. The room went completely silent. Even the usual shuffling and whispering stopped. "So when I announce the training assignments next week," Velmoth continued, "and if Earth appears on the list, I expect some of you will request transfers. That's fine. That's smart. Because no cadet can survive Earth." That's when Hannah raised her hand. It was a small gesture, easy to miss. But in the absolute silence of the auditorium, every eye turned to look at her. Velmoth's 3 eyes all focused on the small human in the back row. "Yes, Cadet." He checked his data pad. "Cadet Hannah?" Hannah stood up slowly. Her voice was quiet but clear. "If no cadet can survive Earth, sir, then how am I standing here?" Confused murmurs spread through the room. Velmoth's sails shifted colors slightly, a sign of irritation. "I don't understand your question, Cadet." "I'm from Earth, sir," Hannah said simply. "I lived there for 15 years. If it's impossible to survive there, I shouldn't exist." The murmurs grew louder. Velmoth's expression changed from irritation to something else. Confusion, maybe, or doubt. "You're from one of the human colonies, Cadet. That's different from—" "No, sir," Hannah interrupted, her voice still quiet but firm. "I was born on Earth, in the Korean region. I lived there until my parents sent me to a colony station for education." She paused. "Permission to volunteer for the Earth assignment, sir. I'd like to show everyone it can be done." The auditorium erupted. Cadets turned to each other, talking loudly. Some laughed. Others looked shocked. Velmoth held up a clawed hand for silence, but it took nearly a minute for the room to quiet down. "Cadet Hannah," he said carefully, "living on Earth with human support systems is very different from survival training. You had shelter, food, medical care. I had what Earth provided, sir," Hannah said. "Same as any creature born there. I learned to find food, make shelter, avoid predators, treat injuries. That's survival, isn't it?" Another cadet stood up. She had blue skin and breathed methane through tubes connected to her suit. "I'm Cadet Jiwon, sir. If Cadet Hannah volunteers, I'd like to join her. Someone needs to document this properly." Velmoth's scales were now shifting through several colors. "This is highly irregular." A third cadet rose, this one with 4 arms covered in brown fur. "Cadet Minho, sir. I'll go too. If there's any chance Earth survival is possible, we should learn how." Before Velmoth could respond, a fourth cadet stood. This one looked like a giant insect with compound eyes and a sleek exoskeleton. "Cadet Barham reporting, sir. I volunteer as well, for tactical analysis purposes." Velmoth looked at the 4 cadets, then at his datapad, then back at them. His tail swished back and forth, another sign of agitation. "This is not a game, cadets. Earth has defeated some of our best students. The survival rate is 0. Then we'll be the first, sir," Anna said. There was no pride in her voice, no arrogance. Just simple fact. The instructor was quiet for a long moment. Then he tapped his datapad. "Very well. I'm forwarding your request to the Academy Council. But understand this, if even one of you fails, if even one of you needs evacuation, it reflects on all of humanity's standing in this academy. Are you willing to accept that responsibility, Cadet Hannah?" "Yes, sir," Hannah said without hesitation. "Then you're dismissed. All of you. I'll announce the Council's decision tomorrow." Velmoth watched as the 4 cadets filed out with the others. As Hannah passed his podium, he called out to her. "Cadet Hannah, a word." She stopped and approached him. Up close, she looked even smaller. Velmoth towered over her by nearly a meter. "Do you understand what you've just done?" he asked quietly. "You've challenged the Academy's entire assessment of Earth. If you fail, I won't fail, sir," Hannah said, "because Earth already taught me everything I need to know. I'm just going home." Velmoth watched her walk away, her small form disappearing into the crowd of larger, stronger-looking cadets. For the first time in his 30 years of teaching, he felt uncertain. He pulled up Earth's data on his pad again, studying the red warning symbols. Maybe, he thought, the warnings were wrong. Or maybe they were right, and this human cadet was about to prove that the impossible was only impossible until someone did it. He would know soon enough. The Council would approve the request. They always did when cadets volunteered for Death Worlds. They believed it taught valuable lessons about knowing your limits. What Velmoth didn't know yet was that Hannah had learned a different lesson on Earth. She had learned that limits were just suggestions, and survival was a choice you made every single day. Tomorrow, everything would change. The transport ship shook as it entered Earth's atmosphere. Jiwon gripped her seat with both hands, her methane tubes hissing with each breath. Minho's 4 arms were braced against the walls, his exoskeleton already straining against the increasing gravity. Borum's compound eyes flickered rapidly, processing the data streaming across her helmet display. Every sensor screamed warnings. Hannah sat calmly in her seat, looking out the window at the clouds below. A small smile played on her lips. "Medical alert," the ship's computer announced in a flat voice. "Atmospheric oxygen levels toxic to Kelvorian biology. Gravity increasing to 1 full standard. Temperature variations extreme. Pathogen count elevated. Recommend immediate return to orbit." "Noted and ignored," the pilot said. He was a human, one of the few who worked for the Academy. He glanced back at Hana. "You sure about this, kid?" Last chance to turn back. "I'm sure," Hana said. The ship broke through the clouds. Below them stretched endless green forest, broken by mountains in the distance and a river winding through the valley. To Hana, it looked like home. To the others, it looked like a nightmare painted in pretty colors. They landed in a clearing. The ramp lowered slowly, and the sound of earth rushed in. Birds calling, waned through trees. Insects buzzing. Water flowing somewhere nearby. Normal sounds, but to alien ears, each one might be a threat. Jiwon's suit sealed completely, her blue skin now visible only through the clear faceplate. Minho activated his support exoskeleton, servos whining as they helped him stand. Borum's tactical display lit up, marking everything in sight as a potential danger. Hana stood up, stretched, and walked down the ramp wearing only light tactical gear. No environmental suit. No gravity support. No breathing apparatus. She stepped onto the grass and took a deep breath. "Smells like home," she said quietly. The ship lifted off immediately, disappearing into the sky. They were alone now. 4 cadets in a forest on the most dangerous world in the Alliance. 2 weeks to survive. 2 weeks to prove everyone wrong. "Okay," Minho said, his voice strained from the gravity. "According to the mission briefing, we need to establish a base camp, secure a water source, and..." He stopped as Hana walked past him into the forest. "Where are you going?" "To find a good spot for camp," Hana called back. "This clearing floods when it rains. I can see the watermarks on the trees." The others looked at the trees. They saw trees. Hana saw a history written in bark and soil. They followed her, which was harder than it should have been. The gravity made every step feel like walking through mud. The air was so rich with oxygen that Jiwon felt dizzy even through her filters. Minho's scanners kept pinging, identifying plants with chemical compounds that would kill him if he touched them. Borum's tactical system was overwhelmed, unable to classify the sheer number of life forms moving through the forest. Hana moved through it all like water flowing downhill. Natural. Easy. She didn't look at her scanner because she didn't have one. She looked at the moss on the trees to find north. She listened to the bird calls to know what animals were nearby. She felt the wind to predict the weather. After an hour of walking, she stopped near a rocky outcrop with a natural overhang. "Here," she said. "Good drainage, natural shelter from rain, elevated position for security. River is close enough for water, but far enough that we won't attract predators." "Predators?" Borum asked, her voice crackling through her translator. "Everything on Earth is a predator or prey," Hana said, already gathering stones. "Sometimes both." She worked quickly, efficiently. Within minutes, she had marked out where the shelter should be. She gathered dry wood and stacked it properly. She found stones that would work for a fire pit. The others watched, exhausted from just walking, while Hana seemed to gain energy from being here. "I'll get water," she announced, picking up a container. "Wait," Jiwon said. "The water needs to be tested, filtered, purified. The bacteria count will be handled by boiling," Hana said. "I'll be back soon." She disappeared into the forest. The 3 aliens looked at each other. "Is she always like this?" Borum asked. "I don't know," Minho admitted. "She's been quiet at the academy. Kept to herself. I thought she was just shy." "She's not shy," Jiwon said, watching the trees where Hannah had vanished. She was waiting to come home. Hannah returned 20 minutes later with full water containers and armfuls of plants. She started a fire using a method none of them recognized, striking stones together until sparks caught in dry grass. The fire grew, and she set a container to boil. "These are edible," she said, sorting the plants. "These are medicinal. These are for flavor, because eating to survive doesn't mean eating badly." She looked up at their shocked faces. "What? You've been here 2 hours," Minho said slowly, "and you've already secured shelter, water, food, fire, and medicine. That would take us days." Hannah shrugged. "This is easy. Summer in the Korean region is the gentle season. Wait until winter. Then it gets interesting." As night fell, they sat around the fire. The temperature dropped rapidly, which surprised them. Hannah had already laid out insulated sleeping areas using leaves and grass. She showed them how to position themselves to conserve heat. The sounds of the forest changed at night. New calls. New movements. Jiwon's suit sensors went wild with alerts. "What's that?" she asked, pointing at a shadow moving between trees. "Probably a deer," Hannah said. "Harmless, unless you corner them. They're more scared of you than you are of them." "I doubt that," Bora muttered. Something larger moved in the distance. All three aliens tensed. Minho reached for his plasma pistol. Hannah put a hand on his arm. "Don't," she said quietly. "You shoot one animal, and you attract everything that likes the smell of blood. On Earth, the sound of a weapon is a dinner bell." "Then what do we do?" Minho asked. "Nothing," Hannah said. "We're not threatening it. It's not interested in us. Most animals on Earth don't want to fight. Fighting costs energy, risks injury. They'd rather avoid each other." "Most animals?" Jiwon asked. "What about the ones that do want to fight?" "Then we make ourselves look dangerous and hope they decide we're not worth the trouble," Hannah said. "But that probably won't happen. Earth is dangerous, but it's not actively trying to kill you. It's just indifferent. You survive because you're smart and careful, not because you're the strongest." They sat in silence, watching the fire. In orbit, Velmoth was watching too, through drone cameras hidden in the trees. He saw Hannah move through Earth like she belonged there, because she did. He saw the other cadets struggle with every breath, every step, while she thrived. He opened a communication channel to Academy Command. "Sir, I need to report something. Cadet Hannah isn't just surviving Earth. She's teaching the others how to survive. This changes everything we thought we knew about Death World training." On Earth, Hannah added more wood to the fire and looked up at the stars. She could barely see them through the atmosphere, so different from the crystal-clear views on space stations. But these were her stars, seen through her sky, and she had missed them more than she could say. "Tomorrow," she told the others, "we'll explore the area, set up proper shelter, and start learning what Earth can teach you." "What can Earth teach us?" Borum asked. Hannah smiled. "That danger and death are different things. That being afraid is smart, but being paralyzed by fear is fatal. That the universe doesn't care about fair, so you better care about capable." She poked the fire with a stick. "Earth doesn't give you anything. You take it or you go without. That's the first lesson." The fire crackled. The forest breathed around them. And for the first time since landing, the three alien cadets began to understand that they weren't just on a death world. They were in Hannah's classroom, and she was going to teach them everything her planet had taught her. Whether they survived the lessons would be up to them. Day 4 began with rain. Not the gentle mist that fell on climate-controlled colony worlds, but real Earth rain. Heavy drops that hit like small stones. Wind that bent trees. Thunder that shook the ground. Jaewon woke up in panic, her suit's sensors screaming alerts. Water was everywhere. Minho scrambled to protect their equipment. Borum's tactical display couldn't keep up with the chaos of the storm. Hannah was already awake, had been for an hour. She had moved their supplies to higher ground and reinforced the shelter with extra branches. She stood at the edge of their camp, face tilted up to the rain, completely soaked and completely calm. "It's just rain," she called over the thunder. "Let it pass." But to the others, it wasn't just rain. It was a disaster. The electromagnetic pulse from lightning had fried half of Minho's scanning equipment. Flash flooding turned the lower part of their camp into a stream. Borum's exoskeleton cracked when a piece of hail hit her shoulder joint. Hannah moved through the storm with purpose. She showed them how to dig channels to redirect water, how to read the lightning and know where it would strike next, how to use the rain to refill their water supplies. When Borum's exoskeleton cracked, Hannah disappeared into the forest and came back with a sticky sap from a tree. "Hold still," she said, applying it to the crack. "This will seal it until we can do proper repairs. The sap hardens when it dries." Borum's sensors analyzed the sap. "This is actually perfect. The molecular structure creates a flexible seal." "How did you know?" "My grandmother taught me," Hannah said. "She lived through 3 monsoon seasons with nothing but what the forest provided. You learn what works." By the time the storm passed, 3 hours later, the aliens were exhausted. Hannah was energized. She rebuilt their fire using techniques that worked with wet wood. She prepared a hot meal using the plants she had gathered. She checked each of them for injuries they might not have noticed in the chaos. "On Earth," she said as they ate, "storms come fast. Sometimes they last days. You can't fight them. You can't hide from them. You just adapt and move forward." Minho looked at his ruined scanner, then at Hannah. "You don't have any equipment. No scanners, no environmental sensors, no threat detection. How do you know what's safe?" Hannah pointed to a bird sitting on a branch. "That bird wouldn't be here if there was a predator nearby. It would be hiding or silent." She pointed to the moss on the trees. "That grows on the north side, so I always know which direction I'm facing." She touched the soil. "This is still damp below the surface, which means water is close even if we can't see it. Earth tells you everything you need to know. You just have to learn its language." Over the next few days, the dynamic completely shifted. Hannah wasn't just the guide anymore. She was the teacher, and they were her students. She taught Jiwon how to read the clouds to predict weather hours in advance. She taught Minho which plants would kill him and which would heal him, and how sometimes they were the same plant used differently. She taught Borum that tactical superiority wasn't always about weapons and position. Sometimes it was about knowing when to be still, when to move, when to make noise, and when to be silent. One afternoon, Minho asked a question that had been building in all of them. "Why did you leave Earth?" Hannah was quiet for a long moment, her hands working to weave grass into rope. Finally, she spoke. "My parents were scientists. They studied Earth's ecosystems, trying to understand how life could be so diverse in such harsh conditions. They wanted me to have opportunities beyond a quarantined world. They sent me to a colony station when I was 15 for proper education." She pulled the rope tight, testing its strength. "I've regretted it every single day since." "But why?" Jiwon asked. "The colony stations are safe, comfortable, controlled." "That's exactly why," Hannah said. "Out there, everything is safe, controlled, predictable. Here, every breath is earned. Every meal is a victory. Every sunrise means you survived another night." She looked around at the forest, her eyes reflecting something the others couldn't quite understand. "Out there, you exist. Here, you live." That night, as they sat around the fire, Borum shared something she had been researching. "I've been accessing historical databases," she said. "Your species' evolution is unusual. How so?" Hannah asked. "Most sentient species evolved on relatively stable worlds. Challenges, yes, but manageable ones. Humans evolved facing constant extinction-level threats. Ice ages, predators designed to hunt you. Diseases that killed millions. Resource scarcity. Natural disasters." Borum's eyes reflected the firelight. "Any one of those should have wiped you out. All of them together should have made intelligent life impossible. But we're still here," Hannah said quietly. "Exactly. Your empathy developed because you needed tight social groups to survive. Your creativity developed because you faced impossible problems constantly. Your ability to endure pain, to keep going when everything says stop, to refuse to accept defeat, all of it came from Earth trying to kill you for millions of years." Borum leaned forward. "You're not warriors despite being from Earth. You're warriors because of it." The fire crackled. Somewhere in the distance, something howled. The aliens tensed. Hannah didn't even look up. "That's a wolf," she said. 3 kilometers away, maybe more. They're not interested in us." "How do you know?" Minho asked. "Because if they were hunting us, we wouldn't hear them until it was too late. Wolves are smart. They don't waste energy on prey that knows they're coming." On day 7, they encountered what Hannah called a bear. To the aliens, it was a nightmare-given flesh. 200 kilograms of muscle, claws as long as their fingers, teeth designed to tear through hide and bone. It wandered into their camp while they were gathering supplies. Minho reached for his weapon. Borum activated her combat protocols. Jiwan froze completely. Hannah stepped forward, placing herself between the bear and her squad. She didn't draw a weapon. She didn't run. She stood tall, made herself look bigger, and spoke in a low, firm voice. Hey, we're not food. We're not worth your time. Move along." The bear looked at her, sniffed the air, took one step closer. Hannah didn't move, didn't show fear, just maintained eye contact and continued speaking in that same steady voice. "That's close enough? You don't want this fight. I don't want this fight. Let's both walk away." The bear huffed, a sound like a small explosion. Then it turned and ambled away, disappearing into the forest as quietly as it had come. Hannah relaxed, but only slightly. She waited until the bear was completely gone before turning back to the others. Minho was shaking. How? How did you do that?" "I didn't fight it," Hannah said. "I convinced it that fighting would cost more energy than it was worth. Predators are efficient. They calculate risk versus reward. I made myself look like high risk, low reward. But what if it had attacked anyway?" Jiwan asked. "Then we would have fought," Hannah said simply, "and probably lost. But running would have guaranteed it. Showing fear would have guaranteed it. On Earth, you don't survive by being the strongest. You survive by being smart enough to avoid fights and brave enough to face them when you can't." That evening, Velmoth reviewed the day's footage. He watched Hannah face down a bear with nothing but her voice and her posture. He watched her teach the others to read the forest, to move with it instead of against it. He watched her transform 3 academy cadets into something different, something better. He sent another message to command. Request to extend Earth training to all graduating cadets. Recommend Cadet Hannah as lead survival instructor upon graduation. Reasoning: we've been training warriors. Earth trains survivors. They're not the same thing. On Earth, under a sky full of stars that Hannah had dreamed about every night for 6 years, she looked at her squad. They were battered, exhausted, pushed beyond anything they had experienced at the academy. But they were still standing, still learning, still fighting to adapt. "Tomorrow," she said, "we go deeper into the forest. The real lessons are just beginning." Borum groaned. Minho laughed despite his exhaustion. Jiwan just shook her head. But they all knew they would follow her, because Hannah had shown them something the Academy never could. Earth wasn't just a death world. It was the greatest teacher in the galaxy, and they were finally starting to understand its lessons. Day 10 started like any other. The sun rose through the trees, birds called their morning songs, and the squad prepared for another day of learning to survive. They had fallen into a rhythm now. Wake before dawn. Check the weather by reading the sky. Gather water and prepare food. Plan the day's activities. But Hannah noticed something the others didn't. The birds were quieter than usual. The forest had attention to it, like held breath. She had grown up reading these signs, and they made her uneasy. "We're being watched," she said quietly. The others immediately went on alert. Borum's tactical system scanned the area. Minho gripped his weapon. Jiwan's breathing quickened in her suit. "I don't see anything on sensors," Borum said. "You won't," Hannah replied. "It's been following us since yesterday. Staying downwind, moving when we move, stopping when we stop." She pointed to tracks in the soft earth that the others had walked right past. Tiger. The word meant nothing to them until Hannah pulled up an image on her basic datapad. 250 kilograms of striped muscle. Claws that could tear through metal. Teeth designed for killing. Eyes that tracked movement with perfect precision. "That thing hunts humans?" Minho asked, his voice high with stress. "Humans, deer, wild pigs, anything it can catch," Hannah said. "They're efficient predators. They don't waste energy on fights they might lose, but if they think you're prey..." She didn't finish the sentence. "What do we do?" Jiwan asked. "We make ourselves look like predators, not prey," Hannah said. "Stay together. Make noise. Don't run. If it shows itself, we face it." Running triggers the chase instinct. They moved through the forest differently after that. More aware. More careful. Careful. Hannah taught them to check behind regularly, to watch for signs of stalking behavior, to listen for the sounds that stopped when something dangerous was near. The tiger revealed itself just before noon. It stepped out from behind a tree 30 meters away, its yellow eyes fixed on them. It was even bigger than the image had suggested, each muscle visible under its striped coat. Every instinct the aliens had screamed at them to run. Only their trust in Hannah kept them in place. Hannah stepped forward, making herself the focal point. She raised her arms to look bigger, and she made noise. Not scared noise. Aggressive noise. The kind of sound one predator makes to another. "Back off," she shouted. "We're not prey. We're not worth it." The tiger took a step closer. Its tail swished. It was calculating, deciding. Hannah stood her ground. Behind her, the others copied her stance. 4 beings standing together, refusing to show fear, refusing to run. The tiger's ears flicked forward, then back. It took another step, testing. Hannah stomped her foot hard against the ground. The sound cracked through the forest. "Go!" For a long moment, nothing happened. The tiger and the humans faced each other, 2 different kinds of predator measuring each other. Then the tiger turned and melted back into the forest. Not running, not retreating, just choosing a different path. Hannah didn't move for a full minute after it disappeared. She stood listening, watching, waiting to make sure it was truly gone. Only when the normal sounds of the forest returned did she relax. Minho sat down hard on the ground. "I thought we were dead." "We might have been," Hannah admitted. "I've never been that close to a tiger before. But Earth taught me that showing fear is like showing weakness. And predators target the weak. How did you know it wouldn't attack? Borum asked. I didn't know, Hana said. But running would have guaranteed it. At least this way, we had a chance. That night, they made camp with new respect for Earth's dangers. But they also had new confidence. They had faced one of Earth's apex predators and survived. Not by fighting, not by running, but by understanding. Day 11 brought disaster of a different kind. Minho, growing more confident in his abilities, ignored Hana's warning about a particular plant. He brushed against it while gathering firewood, thinking his fur would protect him. Within minutes, he was gasping for air. His skin beneath the fur was swelling. His forearms went numb. He collapsed, his breathing shallow and fast. Allergic reaction, Borum said, scanning him. His system is rejecting the plant compounds. They're spreading through his bloodstream. Hana pulled out the emergency medical kit and found the antigen injection. She administered it immediately, but Minho's condition didn't improve. If anything, he got worse. His breathing became more labored. His pulse raced. The evacuation shuttle is 6 hours away, Ji-won said, her voice tight with fear. He doesn't have 6 hours. Hana stared at Minho, her mind racing. 6 years ago, her grandmother had taught her about plants. How the same thing that poisoned could also cure, if you understood the dosage and the method. It was risky. It was dangerous. But Minho was dying. She made a decision. Borum, keep him stable. Ji-won, boil water. I need it clean and hot. Hana grabbed a container and ran back to where Minho had touched the plant. What are you doing? Borum called after her. Something stupid? Hana called back. Or something brilliant? I'll find out which in a few minutes. She carefully harvested the same plant that had poisoned Minho, wearing protective gloves this time. She stripped specific leaves, avoiding the toxic outer parts, and took only the inner stems. Back at camp, she worked quickly, processing the plant material using techniques her grandmother had shown her when she was 8 years old. Crush the stems to release the compounds. Mix with hot water to activate the bonding agents. Filter 3 times to remove the toxic elements. What remained was a clear liquid that her scanner said was still deadly. Hana, no, Ji-won said, seeing what she planned. That's the same plant that poisoned him. The poison and the cure are the same thing, Hana said, loading the liquid into an injector. It's all about dosage and processing. The compounds in this plant bond with the allergen in his system. They neutralize each other. You're guessing. Borum said. I'm trusting what Earth taught me, Hana said. She looked at Minho, who was barely breathing now. He's dead if I do nothing. He might die if I do this. But at least this way, he has a chance. She injected the processed plant extract directly into Minho's primary circulatory system. For 10 seconds, nothing happened. Then Minho gasped, his eyes flying open. His breathing steadied. The swelling began to reduce. Hana monitored his vital signs, watching the scanner with fierce concentration. The plant compounds were working exactly as she hoped, bonding with the allergens and neutralizing them. Minho's system began to stabilize. 30 minutes later, he was weak but conscious. An hour after that, he was sitting up and drinking water. You saved my life, he said to Hana, his voice rough. Earth saved your life, Hana corrected. The plant that poisoned you also cured you. You just had to understand how to use it properly. Minho grabbed her hand with one of his forearms. You saved my life with the thing that almost killed me. That's the most human thing I've ever seen. That night, as Minho rested and recovered, Velmoth watched the footage again and again. He watched Hana process a deadly plant into medicine using nothing but knowledge passed down from her grandmother. He watched her risk everything on a choice that would have killed Minho if she was wrong. He sent a new message to command. We have fundamentally misunderstood human capabilities. Request immediate review of all human cadet evaluations. They're not just surviving Earth, they're thriving on it. And they can teach us to do the same. On Earth, Hana sat next to Minho, checking his pulse regularly throughout the night. When he finally fell into a natural sleep, she allowed herself to relax slightly. 4 more days, Jiwon said quietly. Can we make it? Hana looked at her squad. They were battered, scarred, pushed to their absolute limits. But they were still here. Still standing. Still fighting. Yes, she said. Because Earth already showed us its worst. Everything from here is just practice. She didn't know that Earth had one more lesson to teach them. But she would be ready when it came. She always was. Day 12 began with clear skies and a sense of accomplishment. They had survived Earth for almost 2 weeks. 3 more days, and they would be the first cadets in 70 years to complete the full course. The others were already talking about their reports, about what they would tell the Academy, about how this would change training programs. Hana was quieter than usual. She led them to a place she hadn't mentioned before, a valley about 3 hours from their camp. As they walked, she pointed out things she remembered from childhood. The tree where she had climbed to escape a wild boar. The stream where she had learned to catch fish with her bare hands. The rock formation where her family used to watch sunsets. This is where I grew up, she said when they reached the valley. Below them lay the ruins of a research station. Nature had reclaimed most of it. Vines covered solar panels. Birds nested in ventilation systems. A small tree grew through what had been a laboratory window. But Hana could still see her home underneath all the green. My parents studied Earth's ecosystems here, she said quietly. They wanted to understand how life thrived in chaos. How beauty and danger could exist in the same moment. How something as hostile as Earth could create something as complex as humanity. The others stood respectfully silent as Hana walked through the ruins. She touched a doorframe, traced her fingers over a weather-worn sign, stopped at a small garden that had gone completely wild. Her face showed emotions she had kept hidden for 6 years. They sent me away because they loved me, she continued. They wanted me to have opportunities, to see the stars, to be more than just another human on a quarantined world. She turned to look at her squad, but they didn't understand that Earth wasn't holding me back. It was teaching me everything I needed to know about surviving anywhere. Do you regret going to the Academy? Jiwon asked. Hana considered the question. I regret leaving Earth, but I don't regret meeting all of you. I don't regret the chance to show others what my world really is. Not a death trap. A teacher. They spent the afternoon in the valley. Hana showed them her childhood, told them stories of growing up in one of the harshest environments in the galaxy. She talked about monsoons that lasted weeks, about learning to read the sky before she could read books, about understanding that every day was precious because it wasn't guaranteed. As evening approached, the sky began to change. Clouds built on the horizon, darker than any they had seen before. The wind picked up, carrying the smell of smoke. We need to move, Hana said suddenly, all nostalgia gone from her voice. Now, what's wrong? Borum asked. Forest fire, Hana said, pointing. In the distance, a thin column of smoke rose above the trees. Lightning must have started it. The wind is pushing it this way. They moved quickly, following Hana back toward their camp. But the fire spread faster than they could run. Within an hour, they could see flames through the trees. The wind was pushing it toward them, and the dry summer forest was perfect fuel. We can't outrun it, Minho said, his forearms working to help Jiwon through the difficult terrain. We're not going to outrun it, Hana said. We're going to use the river. She led them at an angle, moving toward the sound of running water. The fire roared behind them, consuming trees with terrifying speed. Smoke filled the air, making it hard to breathe. Heat pressed against their backs like a physical force. They reached the river just as the fire caught up. Hannah didn't hesitate. She jumped into the water and pulled the others in after her. The current was strong, the water cold, but it was safety. They huddled in the deepest part of the river as the fire raged on both banks. Trees exploded from the heat. Animals ran past them, also seeking refuge in the water. The roar of flames drowned out everything else. And through it all, Hannah remained calm. She positioned them in the deepest spot, showed them how to breathe close to the water's surface where the air was clearer, explained that the fire would pass and they would survive. On Earth, she said, her voice barely audible over the fire, destruction and creation are the same thing. This fire will kill some things, but it will also make room for new growth. Some seeds won't even germinate without fire. It's not about good or bad. It's just Earth being Earth. They spent 3 hours in that river, watching Earth burn and renew itself simultaneously. Moram recorded everything, her scientific mind cataloging the process, even while her body trembled with fear. Jiwon held onto a rock, her suit's systems struggling to process the extreme temperatures. Minho used his 4 arms to help stabilize the others against the current. When the fire finally passed, they emerged from the river into a transformed landscape. The forest was black and smoking, but already they could see green shoots emerging from the ash. Life adapting, life continuing, life refusing to quit. They made their way back to camp. Most of their gear was gone, destroyed by the fire. But they were alive. They were together. They had survived. The extraction shuttle arrived the next morning. The pilot stepped out and looked at the burned forest, the exhausted cadets, and Hannah standing calmly in the center of it all. "I heard you had some trouble," he said. "Just Earth being Earth," Hannah replied. The flight back to orbit was quiet. Each cadet was lost in their own thoughts, processing everything they had experienced. 2 weeks on Earth had changed them in ways they were still discovering. When they docked at the Academy station, they found the entire school waiting. Velmoth stood at the front, his expression unreadable. The cadets lined up, ready for evaluation and debriefing. "Cadets," Velmoth said formally, "you have completed what 43 others could not. You are the first to survive the full Earth training course." He paused. "But this is not just about survival. What did you learn?" Borm stepped forward. "I learned that tactical superiority isn't always about weapons and strategy. Sometimes it's about understanding the environment so completely that you become part of it." Minho was next. "I learned that the cure and the poison can be the same thing. That danger doesn't always mean enemy. That Earth doesn't try to kill you. It just doesn't try to save you either." Jiwon spoke last. "I learned that humans aren't strong because they come from a safe world. They're strong because they come from Earth, and Earth makes you earn everything, including your next breath." Velmoth turned to Hannah. "And you, Cadet Hannah? What did you learn?" Hannah thought for a moment. "I learned that I was right to come home, even if just for 2 weeks. I learned that Earth's lessons are universal." Wars of Zdurizel. "I learned that survival isn't about being the strongest or the smartest. It's about being willing to adapt, to learn, to respect what's bigger than you." She looked at her squad. "And I learned that what Earth taught me is worth sharing." Velmoth nodded slowly. Then he did something unprecedented. He saluted Hannah, a gesture of respect between equals. "The Academy Council has been watching your mission," he said. "They want to redesign our entire survival training program. They want Earth to become a standard rotation for graduating cadets. And they want you to lead the program." Hannah blinked. "Sir, I'm just a cadet." "Not anymore. Velmoth said. "As of now, your instructor Hana, the youngest in Academy history. Effective immediately after graduation." The news spread through the Academy like wildfire. A human cadet, the one they had ignored and underestimated, was now going to teach survival to the galaxy's best military students. The implications were enormous. 3 months later, Hana stood in the same auditorium where this had all begun. But now she was on the stage, looking out at rows of cadets. The hologram of Earth rotated behind her, still marked with red warning symbols. But now there was a new marker: training site, Instructor Hana. "Earth is a death world," she began, her quiet voice somehow filling the hall. "That part is true. It's dangerous, hostile, and completely indifferent to whether you live or die. 43 cadets tried to survive it. 43 failed. You've heard all of this before." She paused, letting that sink in. "But what they didn't tell you is that Earth is also the greatest teacher in the galaxy. It doesn't coddle you. It doesn't make things easy. It shows you exactly what you're capable of when comfortable isn't an option, when safe isn't guaranteed, when survival is something you earn, not something you're given." She pulled up images of her squad's journey. The storm, the bear, the tiger, the fire. "My squad survived these challenges, not because they were special, not because they were stronger than the other 43, but because they were willing to learn, to adapt, to accept that Earth's way isn't wrong. It's just different." A young cadet raised a limb. "How do we prepare for Earth?" Hana smiled the same small smile she had given Velmoth in the same room months ago. "You don't prepare for Earth. You let Earth prepare you. You respect it. You listen to it. You understand that it's been teaching humans for millions of years, and it can teach you too, if you're willing to learn." After the briefing, Jiwon, Minho, and Borum joined her on the stage. They were instructors now too, each specializing in different aspects of survival training. "Ready to traumatize another generation?" Minho asked with a grin. Hana looked at the hologram of Earth, that blue marble that had made her species what they were. She thought about the forest, the river, the valley where she had grown up. She thought about how Earth had taught her everything she needed.